inability to get our massive debt under control. Standard & Poor's not afraid to point fingers in explaining why it downgraded America's credit rating. The credit agency blaming Washington for its inability to get our massive debt under control. The decision rocking the Capitol, sparking a political firestorm. Let's bring in our political panel. Adam Geller is a GOP pollster and the former pollster for New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. And David Mercer is a former deputy finance director for the DNC. And David, as a Democrat, let me start with you, because this is now President Obama becomes the first president to have the U.S. credit rating downgraded on his watch, ever. How damaging is that?
I think it hurts all of us. It's going to hurt us in terms of increased interest rates.
Hold on. One second, David.
Mortgages.
1 second, David. We're talking
Sure.
politics. I want to know how damaging this is to the President of the United States, who's had this happen on his watch.
I think he is going to pull through it. If you're referring to 2012 and the upcoming elections 18 months from now, I think this president, as he has tried to lead this country, as he and Geithner and others warned of what would happen if we monkeyed around with agreeing to pay the debt that we already had, which 3/4 of came from the Bush era, with 2 wars off the books, taxes for the rich and millionaires and billionaires, all off the books, and now we're having to pay the piper. But we got into this big debate of, are we going to pay it or not?
Adam,
and let's talk about the future
Adam,
spending.
Adam, when you're president and good stuff happens, like bin Laden is killed, you get the credit. But when you're president and bad stuff happens like this, you get the blame, don't you?
Isn't it funny? I mean, these guys crack me up. Everything is, from the left, it's always blaming somebody else. Blaming Bush, blaming the Tea Party. Now, watch, S&P is going to be called terrorists for holding our credit rating hostage or something like this. It's going to be these crazy DNC talking points. Here's the answer to your question, Rick. It's a monumental problem for Obama. It happened on his watch, period. There's been partisanship before, there's been gridlock before, there's been overspending before, but this time it's different because this is a guy that's taking this country fundamentally to the left. He's turning us into a European socialist country, and that's why our credit rating has gone down. And by the way, now interest rates get higher, borrowing gets harder, our deficit gets larger. We are on a downward slope, people. It's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Every American family knows that the Republicans got this backwards. You pay your bill, whether it's Visa, MasterCard, or Amex, and then you discuss how you might cut spending later on in the month with your family. You don't, in front of the credit agency, go out and have this big dialogue. You have to
David,
have confidence
no.
in paying
What the Democrats want to do is raise their credit limit, David. You want to get a new credit card. You want to raise it.
And our downgrade came from S&P.
All right, let's bring in a poll.
Look in the mirror. It's Obama's
the president is going to try, and
I'm looking at you at this point.
Gentlemen, 1 second, please. Yesterday, the president said that he would like to sort of share the blame for the state of the economy, talking about it as being a Republican problem as well as a Democrat problem. And this poll from CBS News and the New York Times this past week shows congressional approval rating. And look at that. And Adam, in all fairness, the Republicans control the House of Representatives. Do they not deserve any of the blame here?
Well, first of all, there's a few things about that poll. Number one, disapproval of Congress is always high. It doesn't mean anything. There's no correlation between what happens on Election Day. Presidential job approval numbers are much more meaningful. But you know what? I was looking at that poll. It's a national poll by the New York Times, and guess what? It skews Democrat. Surprise, surprise. It's a 12-point Democrat advantage, where normal polls like Gallup, Rasmussen, and the like have a 2-point spread. It's relatively even with a lot more independents. So this New York Times poll, not worth the paper it's printed on, skewed Democrat. It's worthless. It's meaningless. And by the way, Rick, to be fair, yes, of course, people disapprove of what's going on in Washington. It's no surprise. But Barack Obama's job approval rating is 40%, and among independents, it's in the 30s. That's trouble for him.
David, let me ask you something. Does the president need to shuffle the chairs on the deck of the? I don't mean to be trite here, but seriously, is somebody's going to lose their job as a result of this?
Not
Tim
at all.
Geithner, for example.
Look. This happened because if 3 months we had agreed to pay our bills that have come over the last 10, 12 years. If we said, yes, we're paying our bill, then moved on to negotiations on spending or raising tax revenues, we would not be dealing with this Standard & Poor's rating right now.
Tim
Just
Geithner
like
said this
American
wasn't going to
family,
happen.
let me finish, Adam. Let me finish. When they pay their bill, they don't have to worry about looming credit hovering over them. They move on and they get their house in order.
Right. Adam, I'll give you the last word.
Did not do that, so now we're going to suffer higher rates.
So in April, Tim Geithner guarantees it's not going to happen.
Republicans who called for lower tax rates, they just imposed a tax on us for all their shenanigans.
David, hold on. Adam, last word.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Geithner guaranteed that this wasn't going to happen in April, so he should be removed immediately.
He didn't account for the Republicans in it.
Pardon? He what?
He didn't account for the obstacles
listen,
that
the Republicans are heroes
in front of
for
us in
stopping
paying our bills.
The Republicans are heroes for stopping the tax increases and the ridiculous spending. And guess what? We've got 15 months to go.
Recovery's
going to happen. Help is on its way.
Adam.
November 2012 and January of 2013.
Well, gentlemen, maybe we should put you on that super committee down in Washington. You guys could sit down. We'll put you in the same room. We'll give you a couple of sandwiches, and you can work out a deal. Adam Geller and David Mercer, guys, thanks so much. Lively debate.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Take care.
And from